So here I have a box of ZOTRAX M200 Z ABS. We use ABS as it is the default that the printers will use in the settings. Inside you will have a sealed bag that you would have to remove both the bag and the tape around it. When we store our filament, we store it in these tubs here. These are just cereal tubs, and they've got 2 rolls in there depending on how many printers you've got. Very important to keep the tubs sealed at all times. A 3D printer filament is actually sensitive to oxygen, or more specifically the moisture in it. So the filament will absorb moisture and turn brittle if it's not sealed. So if you leave filament out, it pretty much wrecks it. This printer here has a small tail of filament still stuck in it. So we're going to go down to our menu. Here in the menu we can scroll to materials, and then we'll press the knob to enter, and then because we've still got filament, we're going to hit unload the material. It will go through a heat up setting, and then we'll be able to remove it from the top. So now it's ready. What we'll do is we'll press the center button there. Put my phone out the tripod. We'll press this one here, and up at the top, that motor will start spinning, removing the filament. So our filament is now out. Here I have some of my filament that is running through our PTFE tubing. This keeps the oxygen out again. That's connected to our box. I'm going to use the little bit that's sticking out to go in the end top of the machine there. And you'll see it flow through into the gear space there. Next step, like we did before, we're going to scroll down to load the material. Very fiddly knob. It's going to heat up because it's already warm, we don't have to. So when we press that button, it will slowly start turning that gear and dragging the filament in. And eventually you'll start seeing it spitting it out the nozzle. Alright, so what it will do is it make a little spiral. Once it's finished, you'll just remove the spiral from the bed, and then you'll be on your way to set up a print. Alternatively, you might be feeding your filament in like this. Go down to the gear, and then when you hit load, and wait for it to heat up again. So it will begin to load. You'll see the gear will start moving, and then it starts jamming. You'll see the gear going back and forth. And what has actually happened here is, at the bottom, the old piece of filament is stuck, and the new piece is jammed on top of it. So, we can yank that out, and what we're going to have to do is remove that screw, and these 4 here, and use pliers to remove the piece of filament that is jammed. We also have to do this while the printer is actually on and warm, otherwise we won't be able to pull that out. So if we stay in the load setting, or at least heat the extruder, we'll be able to remove it. So first, usually by default these are hex Allen keys that are an LM2, but because these bolts are missing, they've been replaced with Phillips. But it is no different. So we'll remove these 2 bolts here. If you need to move the gantry of the 3D printer to the center to access this, you will have to turn the power switch on the side there to off and just move the print head. So right now I can't move that. With these 2 screws out, the top will be able to come off, but we still can't get to the jammage there. So we're going to grab a 2mm Allen key. We've got some Allen sets laying around, and start removing these 4 around the edge here. It's hard with one hand. Alrighty, with those 4 removed, you can take the screws out, make sure we don't lose them. And now what you'll see is both the stepper motor and the top come off. And in the back of this, you'll see a glimpse right there of the stuck material as well as the bearing. That bearing will come out really easy, so we've got to be careful not to lose it while we yank the filament. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to maintenance and go to heat the extruder. So I'll let that heat up. Alright, now the extruder is hot. I'll come around the back. I got some pliers, needle nose pliers work the best. And I'm just going to grab a small slither of filament there and pull it out. So that's that printer pretty much fixed. All we got to do, maybe I shouldn't have let it dangle like that, or like that, it's hard one-handed. That's hot. Is reinsert all of my bolts. I've tightened up all 4 of my bolts there. I'm about to tighten up my 2 side ones, like so. So now, when we feed our filament back into the top, we set to go to the gear and we press feed. A little bit of a push. See, it's taking it through, and eventually filament will start coming out the bottom there. So filament's all coming out the bottom again, which means this one's fixed. So we'll just put the PTFE tubing in the end there. And we're pretty much all good to go. Once that's finished, we'll take away the excess